All right, everyone ready to go? Hope you guys are ready for a great training. Excited to be here with you today. Let's get started. All right. Welcome to the Remote Investing Masterclass. Are you ready to finally stop wishing you could invest in real estate remotely? Are you ready to stop watching everyone else build assets in great cash flow markets while time just keeps passing you by? Well, good. You are in the right place. Here is the good news. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to get started with remote investing. I'm going to take our process and break it down to 4 easy to understand focus areas so that you can get clarity and start working on getting your first remote multifamily deal. If you do not have a pen and paper, go get one. I would hate for you to miss everything I'm about to give you today. All right, so welcome to the Warriors of Wealth webinar on how to create cash flow and build wealth remotely. We are Jen and Stacy Conkey, and we're incredibly excited to have you on this webinar today. We're going to be diving into exactly how to begin investing remotely to build consistent cash flow and increase your net worth, all from the comfort of home, working fewer than 10 hours a week. We're going to be diving into exactly how to launch your real estate business in just a second. But before we get too deep into the content, I want to tell you exactly who this class is for so that you know that you're in the right place. So this webinar is for you if you've been wanting to invest in real estate remotely, but you're just not really sure how it works. Or maybe you have some investments in your hometown, but you want to expand to other markets and you can't figure out how to make that transition. Or maybe you've been researching, watching videos, reading articles, just trying to piece together all that random information, but you don't quite see how it all fits. Well, you're in the right place. Maybe you know that there's better markets out there, but you're just freaked out about the idea of doing it sight unseen. Or maybe you've wanted to start investing remotely, but you find yourself stuck in analysis paralysis. Or maybe you've taken other real estate courses before, but you still feel lost. If any of this sounds like you, you're in the perfect place because we're going to be diving into the details of how it works to safely and effectively invest remotely in this webinar. All right, I also want to talk about who this is not for. And if you match any of these, this is probably not the best way for you to spend the next 45 minutes. So if you don't already know that you're interested in doing real estate investing, this probably isn't the webinar for you. I'm not going to be spending a moment of time trying to convince anyone that real estate is the best way to build wealth. Everyone here already knows that to be true. So if you're really not sure whether real estate is something you want to pursue, frankly, I'd probably just head out. This is also not for people who have more excuses than desire to succeed. We're about taking action and empowering you to get results. If every opportunity that you're given is met with an excuse, it's just really not going to be the best way for you to spend 45 minutes. This webinar is also, it's not for people who are just fine with the status quo and they don't want anything more in life. We are here to help you build knowledge and wealth. And if you don't like being pushed a little or empowered to do so, frankly, we are not the ones for you. And this is not for people who are not willing to learn a new skill and they just want to hold on to the old school ways of doing business. All right, let's talk about this. Imagine what your life would be like if you had 100% confidence in your ability to evaluate markets, build kick-butt power teams, know exactly how to analyze properties, make offers, and get deals closed. All of this while working from your laptop or your computer in less than 10 hours a week. We're going to be breaking down exactly how to do this in just a few minutes. So in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can create complete location freedom, investing in real estate in any market using the power of our system. I'm going to show you the what, why, and how remote investing works so that you can start building your cash flow portfolio now. And I'll teach you the logistics of how to use modern technology to rock your real estate business and start investing remotely. We're going to show you how you can create your own cash flow portfolio remotely, even if you have no real estate experience. You don't need to be a realtor or a lawyer or a CPA to know how to create a portfolio of cash flow real estate remotely that provides you consistent monthly income and takes care of your future retirement. We're going to show you that in this webinar. We're also going to show you the key metrics that we evaluate when researching a market so that you can choose a market based on your goals and your resources, so that you can convert all that random information into an easy to follow system that will allow you to do deals over and over and over. We're going to show you how to build the ultimate power team, and which allows you to be anywhere and run your business leveraging boots on the ground professionals that are experts in their field. And we're going to show you the entire process from A to Z so that you can finally stop wondering how you're ever going to be able to do this and start envisioning what's possible for you and start taking action. And again, all of this, our whole lifestyle, our whole business is built on our ability to work from our laptop in our bunny slippers if we want to, from literally anywhere in the world. So what makes this webinar different? Well, frankly, there's nothing for sale. We have nothing to sell you, just proven content and strategies that will revolutionize your real estate future, I promise. But before we dive in, I just want to show you what's possible when you actually implement the remote investing system that I'm going to be talking about and teaching you about today. So these are a bunch of screenshots just recently in the last few weeks from our mastermind chat string, showing people just like you who are using our system to launch their business. So Amalia, we were cracking up. She sent in her first offer within, and this is on an apartment building, within 2 weeks of starting the apartment mastermind. And here's a screenshot of her just totally freaking out. She was like, I need a Xanax. But you know what? She took action anyway, and she is on her way. And then there's Steve, who submitted an offer on a 24-unit apartment complex in Miami. Then, this was a day, man. And one day we had Joni, Brad and Marlene, and Steve all taking massive action. So Joni had an accepted offer on a 6-unit property in New Orleans. So she lives in Southern California. That's remote. Brad and Marlene had an accepted offer on a 21-unit in North Carolina. They live in Denver, Colorado. They didn't go there. It's remote. And Steve was in active negotiations on an 18-unit value add project. Our students get into massive action with us. And all of these projects are remote projects. And here's Steve updating the mastermind group about the 18-unit value add project and other mastermind members wanting to get in on it with them. And then Lupe got a great little performing duplex under contract in Indianapolis. She never left her house in Maryland in doing this project. And then here's Steve sharing an update on the duplex he had under contract. He did an inspection, found that there were some things wrong, and went back to renegotiate the deal, just like we teach. And he was successful. The property's in Indianapolis. He never left his home in Florida to make that happen. Then there was Natasha. She's like, hey, I want to get in on this. She ended up getting just totally re-inspired by all the people, all the activity happening in the mastermind. There was so much going on within like a few days. And she ended up getting a 6-unit under contract. And then, well, there's Steve with another duplex in Indianapolis. So, here's just what a few of our masterminds have to say about their journey so far. Courtney said, I've never come across a program that is so comprehensive. They make it easy, relatable, and break every step down for you. Dina, I've been to seminars and left with just a binder and phone support from a third party. Jen and Stacy have created a program that feels like a family full of support. And Cassie, we're so excited for her. I was able to apply what I learned and close my first deal within a couple of months. And Bobby D from New York, we were able to purchase 6 out-of-state duplexes. We've overseen full renovations by simply following the information provided to us through the mastermind. Now, everything all of our students are doing in the mastermind and have been doing, they're doing remotely. It doesn't mean they can't do it at home, but what we teach is, look, if you're going to learn to do it anyway, learn how to do it anywhere so that you have complete location freedom. So let me ask you something. Does any of this sound like you? Are you tired of having real estate on your someday list? Or are you confused by all the random information out there? Or do you feel unclear about what to do first, second, and third? Are you afraid of making a mistake and losing money? Or have you been stuck in analysis paralysis? I'm telling you something. We know what that is like. Like, we were in your shoes back in 2003. We've been where you are, and we want to show you what works for us and our students. And here's the exciting news. This is exactly what we're going to show you how to do in this training. Start investing in real estate, building cash flow and equity, all remotely. So We're Jen and Stacy Conkey, and we're the founders of Warriors of Wealth. We've been investing in real estate since 2003 in 14 different markets across the US. All of our investing has been done remotely for 17 years. So Jen was a leader in corporate America for 22 years, investing as a side business throughout her career. She was able to retire and focus solely on real estate. I'm Stacy, and I was a CFO who left corporate America to invest in real estate, and I've been coaching new investors for more than 10 years. Jen and I combined our skills to create Warriors of Wealth real estate investing coaching and mastermind. And I'm telling you what, we are so excited and honored to be here with you today. We're passionate about real estate investing. We've had the opportunity to speak on multiple stages to thousands of investors across the US, sharing our knowledge and teaching our proven process so that people can get the kind of freedom that we've created for ourselves. And although we've created a multi-million-dollar portfolio, we were once in your shoes. We started by acquiring small multifamily properties remotely that were the ugly kid on the block and truly developed a knack for adding value, which allowed us to create consistent monthly cash flow and build equity. We love taking those ugly, nasty properties and making them gorgeous. I mean, do you see that bathroom transformation? Just amazing. It's just so much fun. So once we dialed in our process, we just kept repeating it. And then we just kept doing it over and over and over. We've never stepped foot in any of our properties, yet they bring us a consistent source of passive cash flow every single month. And it may surprise you, we have 4 kids. And we're not like the gurus that are going to flash you a bunch of fake Lambos and mansions and yachts. Living in San Diego and building a cash flow portfolio remotely has given us what we really want, which is freedom. Time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, so that we get to enjoy raising our kids, seeing the world and creating lasting memories. Like that's what we're about. And we just want to make sure that people that are coming and spending time with us, like, get it. We're not going to do a bunch of flashy stuff. Like, we like stuff, but frankly, stuff doesn't matter to us. Life and quality and time with our kids, time with our family and our friends is more important than anything else to us. And we just fully embrace that. And we want to be around other people who want that too. And that's why we're so passionate about sharing this information with you. You know, for Jen and I, whether we're catching a baseball game or taking mopeds around an island or flying to New York on a whim or being chased by a T-Rex, it could happen, visiting the temple or parasailing or taking our parents on a cruise or petting dolphins in the Bahamas. You know, there's just really 4 key focus areas that enable us to run our business remotely. This is what we're going to be focusing on today. So number 1 is logistics. Number 2 is research. Number 3 is leveraging a team. And number 4 is process. So get your pen and paper ready and let's get to it. So the old way of doing real estate was watching random YouTube videos, driving around looking for fixers, and just getting stuck in analysis paralysis. The new way of investing is doing everything from your laptop, from wherever you are. You know, whether you're in your backyard or in your home office or at a Starbucks or in the Bahamas in your hotel. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you have your cell phone and your laptop, you are ready to rock. But before we get too deep into the specific technicals, let's touch on the subjects of what, why, and how as they relate to real estate investing. So what does remote investing even mean? So we live in San Diego, right? You might live in an area where your strategy and goals don't line up with what the current market is doing. So for example, our strategy right now is building passive cash flow. We live in San Diego. The only kind of cash flow you're going to find here is negative cash flow, right? The prices are way too high here. And the rents, even though the rents are high, the rents are nowhere near as high as the prices. So if we want to invest to get passive cash flow, we can't do it here, which means if we don't know how to invest remotely, we don't get to invest and we never get to build the freedom that we have got to build. So we just want to share that with you. So remote investing is finding a market where the prices, rents, and the current market status makes sense for what you're looking to do and investing there, but without being there. And most investors are resistant to the idea of remote investing at first because, frankly, we've all grown up believing that in order to invest, we have to see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it. So when I tell you that we've built a multi-million dollar portfolio of real estate and we've never seen it, touch it, felt it, taste it, smelt it, that usually gets people's attention. And usually we buy fixtures, so frankly, we really don't want to smell them anyway, or touch them or taste them, like none of it. But that gets people's attention because we've built this whole portfolio. We've never been to any of our properties, right? So people's first response is like, well, but I mean, how is that even possible? Like, how am I going to oversee the property if I'm not there? That just seems so risky. Well, I assure you, investing remotely carries no more risk than investing where you live. There's systems that you put in place at every step to mitigate risk, verify information, and do real estate investing safely. In fact, new investors that I talk to that have started in their home market often tell me stories that they've made the mistake of skipping the fundamental steps and losing money on deals in their home market. Well, why? Why would someone lose money on a deal when it's right there at home, when it's supposedly safer? Why? Because they have this level of comfort, false comfort, but comfort, knowing that the property is close. So they don't have their guard up. They don't put all the protections in place because, oh, it's right there. I can see it. As if seeing it really tells you anything that you need to know to do an investment safely. And I'll tell you, it doesn't. When a new investor is investing remotely for the first time, they're pretty much freaked out about the idea of it, but they've made the decision to do it anyway because they know that what's more important is their why. And this is what they're going to do to create financial freedom for themselves. So they're going to do it, but they're freaked out. So they are going to follow every single solitary step to keep safe. And what's interesting is that the steps in investing where you live or investing on the other side of the country are identical to do it safely. It doesn't matter whether you're home or away. It should be the exact same process. But for whatever reason, at home, people will take shortcuts because they have a perception of less risk. And frankly, it's just wrong. So why should you learn to invest remotely? Well, basically so that you can create a business that you can do from anywhere. We live in San Diego and we've done business in 14 different states across the US. So whether we're in our home office or at a kids' baseball game or escaping the 4 kids and taking a vacation just for us in the Bahamas, like our real estate business runs without our physical presence. What Jen and I have built is a life of freedom, and not just financial freedom, which is typically people's focus when they're getting started, but now we have location freedom. So let me kind of give you an example. Let's just say you're investing at home and you buy 10 rental properties. Like right on, you bought 10 rental properties. So of course you're going to probably want to manage them yourself because you can't imagine paying 10% of the revenue to a property manager when you're right there. You could just do it yourself. It's a temptation. Now let's fast forward a couple years. I would say you want to go take a 4-week cruise and just go enjoy life for a while. How exactly is that going to work? Because the business model that you've created relies on you physically being present and available. That is why we believe so strongly in showing other investors how to create freedom, not just financial, but true freedom, so that you can do what you want, when you want, where you want, without your business suffering your absence. So, like I mentioned, there's 4 focus areas that I want you to consider and master when you're stepping into the world of remote investing. And again, it's logistics, research, team, and process. So the first focus area is logistics. And this may seem like oversimplifying it, but I'm telling you, there's only a couple of things that you need to invest remotely. 1, your cell phone. 2, your computer, which could be a desktop or a laptop, or you could have both. And 3 is there's all sorts of apps out there that allow you to basically be at the property without being at the property. So there's a whole bunch of visual apps. And let me kind of give you an idea. When Jen and I are doing a rehab project, we'll communicate with our contractor, 1 to 2 times a week. And we love Marco Polo, which is that little beach ball in the bottom right. Marco Polo is like, they call it like a video walkie-talkie. So I can record a video to my contractor or my realtor or my property manager and say whatever it is. Hey, just wanted to check on the status of the blah, blah, blah. Send me a Marco Polo and let me know how it's going. So my contractor will get that and he'll get a notification on his phone. And I insist that all of my contractors, all of my property managers, and all of my realtors download Marco Polo and learn to use it, because that is how I run my business. And that is how, if they want to work with me and make money with me, which we'll do over and over and over, that's how we're going to communicate. All right, so let's say I send that to my contractor. He might get back on his face and give me a verbal, like, hey, here's where things are at. And then he'll flip it on his screen and he'll give me a visual and show me what they're doing in the property, or if he has a question about something, or what color do you want? I get a visual. So it's just like I'm there, but without me having to go and be there. But there's 6 different ones. These are just off the top of my head. There's probably even more, but there's FaceTime. So if you have 2 iPhone users, you can do FaceTime. There's Duo, which is like it's like an in-between between iPhone and Android that allows 2 different types of phones to communicate just like it's FaceTime. There's Zoom, and these days everybody knows about Zoom, right? There's Skype. There's also Messenger video. You can do a video within Facebook Messenger. And then, of course, our favorite, Marco Polo. And all of these are free. Like, do you realize that? Like, there's not even a cost to it. So we live in the best time for doing this. I'm not really sure how people would have done investing remotely 30 years ago, but today it's just a no-brainer. And then there's voice apps. So there's just regular phone voicemail. There's voice text. Like if you're texting, at least on iPhone, you can hold down the button and leave a voice text. There's Messenger, which allows you just, type messages back and forth or do a voice recording. And then Boxer. Boxer is this cool thing that we just learned about this year, but it's kind of like a walkie-talkie, except it doesn't just come through on someone's phone, but it notifies them, hey, you have a Voxer message, and then you listen to it, and then you can respond just like a walkie-talkie. So there's all these cool apps out there that just make it possible for us to be in contact with our team at all times. If they have questions, they can contact me. If I have questions, I can contact them, and we can get a visual if we need to. So the second focus area is research. And here's what I want you to think about when you think research. Well, for starters, all initial research is done online. And remote investing, to a large extent, is really, it's a decision. It's a mindset. Remote investing is a mindset. It's where you start to realize that you, as the CEO of your business, you're the leader. You're the one that's learning all the things, right? You're taking webinars, taking classes, you're in masterminds, you're learning all this stuff. You are the one person of all your team that knows how everything fits, knows how to pull it all together. So it's up to you. It's your mindset that, look, I don't have to physically be there to lead teams. And if nothing else, 2020 has shown us that you don't physically have to be present in order for business to go on in most kinds of businesses. All right, so it's a mindset shifting from, oh, I got to be there and be in person, to realizing I can be on the phone. I can do a FaceTime or a Marco Polo, and I could lead my team. I can tell each person what I need each of them to do. None of them know the whole picture, but I do, and I'm leading them through it. All right, so all the initial research that we do, aside from the communication, is just online. Your laptop, your computer. I mean, frankly, these days, even a cell phone is like a little computer. You can probably do most of your research on your screen. The writing is too small for me. I can't handle it. But technically, it could be done. So what we're going to start talking about today, as far as on the technical side, is we're going to talk about market research. Now, we have a whole masterclass that goes into ridiculous depth on market research. So I'm not going to go into big depth, but I am going to teach you like the main things that you need to be looking for when you're going to be researching a market and making a decision. So we're going to start with market research, and all of that research can be done in your Batman pajamas with your unicorn slippers on. So, do what you like, but you can do it remotely. All right, so one of the very first things that you're going to be doing in your remote investing business is researching markets. Now, if you're investing for cash flow, there's certain things that we research when selecting a market. Does it meet the 1% rule? What about population growth? What about job growth? And reviewing the city's comprehensive plan. So let's talk a little bit about the 1% rule to start. The 1% rule is like a quick little, you're not going to make an offer based on the 1% rule, but it is a quick way to evaluate whether a market is going to make sense for cash flow. So for example, let's say that you're buying a property for $150,000. In order for it to be considered, potentially a cash flow property or cash flow market, the market rent would need to be at least 1% of that purchase price, or in this case, $1,500, right? If you're buying multifamily, which we're a huge proponent of, even if you're starting at duplexes, like huge proponent of that, that just makes it that much easier. So in this case, think of buying a duplex, right? A two-family property for $150,000. Each side rents for $750 a month. Well, so the total rent coming in is $1,500. So you've met the 1% rule. You're in a cash flow market. So that's the very first thing. So when Jennifer and I talk about investing in San Diego and how there's only negative cash flow, I'll give you a great example. You could probably buy a house in our neighborhood for, the house next door just went up for just under $700,000, and oh my God, it needs serious updating. Like, wow. Yeah, so let's just say, wow. It's going up for sale for nearly $700,000. It could probably rent right now for maybe $2,800 to $2,900. Okay, so if it could only rent for, let's say, $2,800, then the most that you'd be looking to pay, if it's for cash flow, would be $280,000. But oh my gosh, the market and all the buyers in the market have said, oh no, based on where we want to live, which is apparently here, we're willing to pay $700,000 for that house. So for us, like if we're going to buy a house for $700,000, plus that's a lot of money to put into one property, I'm going to buy a house for $700,000 and I can only get $2,800 of rents. Like that doesn't work for us. We can go take that same $700,000 and spread it out over multiple properties, or get into an apartment building where we have lots of units and lots of rents and we get cash flow. Okay, so the 1% rule is your very first indicator of, oh wait, I shouldn't probably be spinning my wheels or spending any more time on this. You'll see the 1% rule being blasted out of the water on the coasts typically. So if you think California, Oregon, Washington, usually the prices are just too high. And then on the East Coast, same thing. You might find a market every once in a while that meets it, but generally speaking, the parts of the country that seem to overall produce the best cash flow is usually the Midwest. So we do a lot of investing in the Midwest. We have invested in Washington and Florida and in multiple other markets that are on the coasts, but typically when we're investing there, it's for a fix and flip, not for cash flow, because cash flow doesn't work there. All right, so the first thing is that 1% rule. Does it meet it? If not, don't even waste your time looking at the population growth, because frankly, it doesn't matter. All right, so the second thing is population growth. So we want to see that the population is either holding steady or increasing. So I want you to think about it for a moment. If you're investing in a market where the population just keeps going down, down, down every year, you're probably going to increase your risk for having more vacancy than you want to have, because there's going to be the same amount of units, but if there's fewer human beings to fill those units, you're going to have an increase in vacancy. So you want to look to see what have the trends been, and is the population either holding steady or is it growing? And we recently did a class on the BRRR strategy, a master class. And in that one, I get into a little bit more detail and show some visuals. So, you're welcome to check that out. The other thing we're looking for is employment growth trends. We want to see positive job growth trends in the market. We want to see that, we don't want to see like a huge dip in employment. So over the last 5 years, if every year you see the employment rate going up, 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 that's probably not the place to want to invest, right? Because the economy is not doing well there. So you want to see that unemployment's been going down, employment's going up, but at a minimum that it's holding steady. All right, and then finally, reviewing the city comprehensive plan. So the city's comprehensive plan basically allows you to see what the city is focusing on over the next 5 to 20 years, as far as What are they investing in? What about infrastructure? Like, what are they doing? And what it does is it gives you a leg up on your competition that never thinks to look into what's happening in the future and how to get themselves into the path of progress. And we're investing for cash flow, but investing in the path of progress, when it works out, doesn't work out all the time, but when it does, that is a great opportunity to increase your chances of having the property appreciate, which is just an awesome bonus. All right, focus area number 3 is team. All right, so with team, you're going to be selecting your team that's local in the market that you're looking to invest. So we're looking for investor-friendly realtors. We're looking for licensed, insured general contractors. Remember, everything we're doing remotely. We're not taking chances. We are hiring the absolute highest level professionals at every step along the way. We're running a business. We're not trying to step over a quarter to pick up a nickel, right? So we're going for licensed and experienced general contractors. We're looking for ASHI certified home inspectors. Okay, ASHI is ASHI. It stands for the American Society of Home Inspectors. It's the highest level of certification a home inspector can get. We're looking for lenders. So which lender you're going to go to is going to depend on what your strategy is. So let's say you're buying, like I showed you that one duplex that Lupe had under contract, and now she actually closed on it. But she went and got a conventional loan for that. So she happens to be employed, she's in the military, so she has W-2 income, so she could go to a regular bank, put her, get a loan, put her down payment, and close. So a performing property, you're probably going to finance through conventional bank, credit union, local bank, things like that. Now, if you're going to be doing the BRRR strategy, where you're buying a fixer, you're renovating it, you're renting it, you're refinancing it, then you're going to start most likely with a hard money to get. Don't lend on properties that are not livable. So if you're doing a fixer upper, that pretty much precludes your ability to get conventional financing. So you're looking for hard money lenders based on that strategy. And then when you refinance, you can refinance with a conventional lender. And actually these days, even a lot of hard money lenders have some pretty great 30-year rental programs. The interest is a little bit higher, but not bad, like not normal hard money rates that you see with like a rehab loan. We're going to be looking for experienced property managers, all right, insurance agents, and title companies. So what I want you to see when you're looking at this screen is it's not you. It's not just you. It's you leading all of these professionals that know exactly what their job is, and they're good at it because you go for the best, all right? And that happens through the process of, you're first going to find them, and I'm going to give you lots of ideas of where to find different things in just a minute. But you're first going to find them by researching online. And then you're going to follow up with a phone call and you're going to interview them, compare, and then you can select which one or ones you want. With certain team members, you're going to need several. You're going to want several realtors, several contractors, and who's the other one? Oh, lenders. Yes. You really only need one title company, one insurance agency, one property manager, one home inspector. For realtors, contractors, and lenders, you're going to want to have a couple. All right. So let me talk about just for a minute, where are you going to find all these people? And it cracks me up because maybe six or 8 months ago, I was doing a presentation in person and it was about this exact topic is about remote investing. And one of the guys in the audience after, he said, you know what, he lives in San Diego. He's like, I'm really interested in learning this because I can't invest here. It's too expensive, but I am just blown away and mind boggled at how on earth am I going to find a contractor, in a different market if I'm not there. So let me ask you something. If you're going to invest where you live, or if you're going to get a repair on your home where you live, are you seriously going to walk out of your front door and walk to your sidewalk and start yelling down the street both ways? Hey, is anyone here a contractor? No, you're not going to do that. What are you going to do? You're not even going out of your house. You're probably just jumping on your computer and you're Googling or looking on a website contractor for kitchen or contractor for roof, whatever it is that you need. Like you're doing the same thing. You're using your computer. That's the same thing that you do when you do it remotely. And that's why I say that remote investing is really a mindset. And as soon as I said that to him, he just started laughing. He's like, oh my God, right. Of course. Why does it matter if I'm there? You don't go find contractors in person. It's not like you go driving down the street looking for them. You look online. That's the age that we live in. All right. So with realtors, let's talk about realtors for a minute. Goodness, you can find realtors in so many places. There are so many realtors out there. We ideally want to find investor-friendly realtors. Sometimes you can find a realtor that's just hungry and you can train them to know how to look for what you want. But you can use websites like Redfin, Zillow, LoopNet, Realtor.com. There's probably 20 more just like them that all have all of the realtors' information. And you can simply start reaching out and contacting them. And it's a numbers game because sometimes the realtors you reach out to, it's not a good fit for them, or they're not interested, or they don't understand investing. Cool. Next. And you just keep going next, 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 next until you land on the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 that get what you want. And they're going to give you business and you're going to give them business over and over and over. So contractors, remember, we're looking for licensed and insured general contractors. You could use websites like Home Advisor, Angie's List, House, which is Houzz, Porch, Thumbtack. And again, there's probably, I don't even know, tons other websites. Those are some of the ones that just pop into my mind, right? There's lots of websites you can look the contractors up on. ASHI Certified Home Inspectors, you just go to ashi.org, so ashi.org. With lenders, conventional lenders, you can look up local banks in that market. You could go to any of the big banks. You could go to a mortgage broker and get options for conventional lending. If you're going to go with a hard money lender because you're doing a fixer-upper, I mean, a good old Google. Google's going to be your best friend in this business. All right, so you're going to Google hard money lenders in whatever the city is or whatever the state is. And it doesn't mean that the hard money lender needs to be there. What you're looking for is to make sure that the hard money lender lends there. The hard money lenders that Jennifer and I use, that we've used over the past several years, they're all national lenders. They all lend all over the US. Now, not all of them lend in every single state, but all of them lend in at least 25 states, and most of them lend in 40 plus states. So of course you want to make sure that the place you're looking to invest matches one of the places that they lend. All right, so that's a great way. Another way, this is kind of a little ninja trick for you. Connected Investors, which is a pretty cool investor website. It's almost like I can't remember the guy's name, but he reminds me of Mark Zuckerberg, young guy, Ross Hamilton. He created this website called Connected Investors. And then a few years later, he did an offshoot that's connected to that, but separate website. And it's CIX.com. So write that down, CIX.com. And CIX.com is the website that's for lenders, but for investors. So you get on as the investor, go to CIX.com, and it's just going to ask you questions like, where is the property? What are you looking to do? How much are you looking to borrow? What's your experience? How much money can you put down? All these things to just kind of narrow the field. And then based on all the information you put in, they send your information out to any of the lenders that have signed up with them, which at this point is probably everybody because they've gotten so big. And those lenders then call you and they're trying to earn your business. So that's a great tool. It also can save a lot of time. Now, if you don't get a lot of calls from it, then you need to be the one to outbound call. Don't be afraid to call lenders. Remember, they don't make money without you. So just boldly get on the phone and, stumble through the questions. You're going to get more and more comfortable with every single call. For experienced property managers, property managers can be referred by your realtor. That would be one source. You can also look them up on Google. Heck, you can even go to Facebook and look up property managers in whatever city and start making some phone calls and interviewing them. With insurance agents, we've done two different things. We've used local agents in that market, and we just call and interview them, ask them a quote, and we do some price comparison. There's also a national company called NREIG, and it stands for National Real Estate Insurance Group. So I think their website is www.nreig.com. It's something like that. Anyway, that has ended up being a really convenient place for us because no matter where we were investing, because at one point we had we had rehab with 12 projects going, 12 rehab projects going in 4 different markets at once. So, that's a lot to manage, a lot of active stuff to manage. So having one insurance company that could handle all of them was really beneficial. Anyway, but those are a couple different things you can do. No, title companies. I get this question a lot from people because they're like, oh, how do you know which is the best title company? Well, title companies, frankly, are a commodity. So there's really no best title companies. Unless you're doing some kind of creative transactions, you might need to find an investor-friendly title company. But if you're just doing regular, normal real estate transactions, really any title company will do. What really drives title company for us when we're investing is in the market, is it customary for the buyer to choose the title company or the seller to choose the title company? Okay, so if it's customary for the seller to choose a title company, the title company will be listed in the offer. So when your realtor writes up the offer for you and sends it to you to review and sign, you'll see the title company will be listed there already because the seller has already chosen it, told it to their realtor, and it's in the MLS notes. So your realtor puts it in the contract. If you're in a market where it's customary for the buyer to choose, it doesn't really matter. I always just ask my realtor, well, like, who do you already have a relationship with? Because since the service itself is just such a commodity, I figure, well, if my realtor has a relationship with them, and if we need to like get a rush done on something or ask for a favor, ask them to FedEx something, if they have a relationship, then we have a higher chance of getting that done. And of course, once you start doing multiple deals in a market, then you'll be able to just use your title company and you'll have those relationships. But when you're just getting started, your realtor is a fine source to recommend that to you. All right. Focus area number 4. Now, this is where we're going to be talking about the A to Z process. All right. So I'm going to stay fairly high level at this because I'm going to walk through effectively 10 different steps, which outline at a high level A, B, C, D, E, until whatever the 10th letter is. All right, so we're going to go through that. So get ready for notes because the way this slide is set up, each one's only going to be there for a little bit. So I'll show you, I'll get into a little bit of detail. By the time we're done with this, you're going to have a much better idea of how things flow in a real estate transaction that's being done remotely. All right, so the very first thing that we did earlier, even in this presentation, is we selected our market, right? We did all our research, we selected a market. Well, after you select a market, you move into a new phase, all right? And that phase is called lead generation. So lead generation, that is when you start having properties coming to you. Now, when you're investing, you want to make sure that the realtors you're working with are sending you both listings and comps. Why do we need comps? Well, comps are a little bit more relevant or more important if you're doing a fixer. So you want to know comps. Let me back up for a minute. Comps is short for comparable sales. It means other properties that have sold in the area recently that are similar to the subject property, the property you're looking to buy. And similar means similar in style, similar in size, so square footage, similar in age. All right, so we're looking for similar in bedrooms and bathrooms. So we're looking for something that we could look at another property that sold and it's really similar to ours and it sold for 180,000 and we can say, okay, well, ours is a piece of junk right now, so it's not worth 180, but when we fix it up, based on this other property that just sold recently, I think we can get 180,000 for it. So if you're not having your realtor send you comps when you're getting properties, you're really going in blindly and it's impossible to get an accurate read on the way that you should calculate and submit your offer because you don't even know what your end game is. Okay, so you want to ask your realtor for listings and comps as part of your lead generation. All right, so now you have a bunch of listings and comps coming in. So now your email inbox is like it's getting nuts. And that's also why you want to have multiple realtors and eventually multiple markets, right? You have all these leads coming in with listings and the comps, and sometimes it takes some training of your realtors, but you're going to do that. Well, now we're moving into the section where you're going to be analyzing deals and calculating offers. All right, so when I'm analyzing a deal, it's going to start and depend on what is my exit strategy. If I'm buying something that's already performing, then I want to know how much of a down payment I'm going to have to put down, how much rents are coming in, what are the expenses, Once I've paid all of my expenses, how much is left? That's called net operating income. Well, how much is my mortgage going to be? All right, so I have to take my net operating income, which is my income, my revenue, minus my expenses, and then I get that number and I have to subtract my mortgage payment, right? What's left is cash flow. So when you're evaluating whether that's a good offer for you, what you do is you take that cash flow, that monthly cash flow, and you multiply it by 12 to get an annual amount of cash flow. And then you take that amount, the annualized cash flow, and you divide it by the amount of your down payment or the investment that you've made in the property. And that's going to give you a percentage. That is called your cash on cash return. And it gives you an idea of whether, is your money at work well? So for example, let's say that you did an analysis and you saw that the cash on cash return is 4.5%. Okay, noted. That means over the course of the year, my money was producing about 4.5% return. Well, if you analyze another deal and you see, whoa, this one actually gives an 11% cash on cash return. Which deal are you going to focus on more? Well, I mean, actually, it's been a lot of different things, but if your objective is cash flow and maximizing your return on investment, you're of course going to go with the property that gives you a higher return. Multifamily real estate tends to give a much higher cash on cash return, which is why Jennifer and I focus so much of our time and attention on that kind of real estate, right? So your analysis will be based on the type of strategy. So if you're looking for a straight purchase, cash on cash analysis. If you're looking to do the BRRRR strategy, your analysis is quite a bit different. So you have to look at what is the property going to be worth when I'm done? How much of a loan to value can I get once it's done when I refinance it? What are my all-in costs, my purchase, my rehab, my hard money costs, my holding costs? And you have to make sure that when you go to refinance, that the amount of money that you get from the refinance, whatever amount of money you end up leaving in the property, if any, that you're okay with that. And then you do the same cash on cash return analysis. And what you usually find is you do the BRRRR strategy, you have this like ridiculously high cash on cash return because you don't usually end up leaving very much money in the property once you refinance it because you bought it low because it was a fixer-upper. And again, we get into all these details in the BRRRR, B-R-R-R masterclass and really break this down. So I won't go into a ton of detail here, but just know if your strategy is to build equity and have cash flow, the BRRRR strategy is a great way to go. If you don't really have a lot of time to be managing rehab and all of that, and you just want some cash flow, you want to go the straight purchase. But either way, you're going to analyze the deal based on what you're trying to accomplish with the deal, come up with your offer price, and then you're going to make an offer. So the logistics of making an offer look like this. This is something that seems to hang up lots of new investors. So let me just address it. When you're making an offer, you don't have to worry about, oh man, what contract do I use? You're not going to use any contract. Unless you're going directly to the seller, which with remote investing, that's not really what we're teaching. It's not that you can't, and certainly Jennifer and I have done for sell by owners with out-of-state investors, but we're experienced enough to know where to go find a contract. But generally speaking, 99% of our deals come from our realtor relationships. Sometimes the properties are listed and sometimes they're not listed. Sometimes they're off-market deals, but either way, my realtor's involved. So all I'm doing is I'm communicating the terms of my offer to my realtor. Now I can remember I was on a plane getting ready to take off and I got some information and I was like, cool, calculated my offer. And I just shot a text to my realtor. And I was like, okay, here's the purchase price. Here's the earnest money deposit. I want a 10-day due diligence period. I want a 30-day close. It's a cash offer. Add this little line of contingency. And, so I just basically communicated the information via text. Normally we do via email. And she took the information, wrote it up on a contract, sent it to my email. Once I landed, I was able to pull up the DocuSign, review it, make sure it's correct, which is one of the things you need to do, and then sign it. And then the realtor sends it to the seller's realtor to present to them. Okay, so that's kind of the process of it. Now, one of three things that's going to happen when you make an offer. Either one, the seller's going to be like, ha, no. You can get used to that. That's pretty normal for us because oftentimes what we can offer and what they can accept, they just don't line up. So fine, it's a numbers game, right? But when it does line up, then they would accept your offer. Now, sometimes something in between happens, which is a counter offer. So it's one of three things. It's either they say no, they say yes, or they'll counter offer. So let's say, for example, that they say, Yes, they're going to accept our offer. Now you move into the due diligence phase of the process. And the first thing that you're going to do in due diligence, well, if you're doing renovations, so if you're doing renovations, the first thing you do is you're going to deploy your general contractors. You want to send at least 3 general contractors to the property. And I don't mean at the same time. You want to make sure that they have time to be in there by themselves. I'm not trying to hide the fact I'm using more than one general contractor because they are bidding the job. You don't just get the job because I send you there. Like you have to earn it, just like anything else in any other business, right? So 3 contractors go out there different times and they're going to send me a quote. That's going to allow me to have 3 different sets of eyes on the property. Now, this is where people say, well, gosh, but I'm not there. Well, frankly, even if you were there, what are you going to see that's going to be more knowledgeable than a licensed, experienced general contractor? The answer is nothing, unless you just happen to be one of those. But, my experience has been very few people I teach are licensed general contractors. So that means you're getting 3 professionals to go put their eyes on the property for you. That's one of the keys to doing things remotely, is that professional, boots on the ground professional team. Okay, so we're going to deploy our general contractors, start getting quotes coming in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to verify rents. So how we verify rents is going to depend on whether the property is performing or whether it's vacant. If the property is performing, the way that we're going to verify rents is we're going to look at the rent roll, if the seller has one. It depends on the size of the property. We're going to look at the leases that the tenant signed so we can compare and make sure that what the seller's telling us is substantiated through some kind of documentation. All right. The other thing we're going to do with rent verification is we're going to look at the market rents, because one of the things that's super, super common with sellers is they'll say, oh yeah, you could totally get this amount of rent. I'm only renting it for 500, but you could easily get 800. Really? If I could get 800, you get 800. Why haven't you got 800? So you always want to be a little suspect when people say that. And not that it's not true, but yeah, you don't want to go verify it. So there's a couple ways you can do that. And I'll talk about that when we're talking about looking at market rents for vacant units. The other thing you can do is you can call property managers in the area and say, hey, I'm buying a property that's already occupied, performing, and maybe it's already managed by a property manager. You can interview them and 2 others and decide who you're going to use. And you would ask that property manager, based on that area, what are the market rents? Because if the tenant isn't currently at market rent, you do have an opportunity to either slowly increase their rent, or if it can be upgraded and charged, quite a bit more, that's an option for you as well. Now, if the property is vacant or you need to get market rents, there's this great website called Rentometer. So it's www. And it looks like rent-o-meter, but it's rentometer.com. And you could literally put in an address and bedrooms and bathrooms, and it will show you everything within whatever radius you put that has rented in the past whatever period of time you've put, so that you could really get an idea of what other properties that are close to yours, similar in size, that have rented out recently, what they've gone for. All right, so you're verifying their rents. So really, if you were doing it in your hometown, how would you verify the rent? How would you do it? Are you just going to go walk around on the street and verify? No, that's not even a thing. You can't do that. You'd still do it the same way. You do it from your computer, from your laptop, or from your desktop, right? You're going to get on websites, you're going to make phone calls to get information and verify any information that has been provided to you. All right, the next step is your home inspection. Now, the home inspection you have to pay for. So like everybody in the mastermind knows, you do not have the home inspector go out until you have all of your free due diligence already done. Because otherwise, when you're new, well, for some people, spending $400 that's a lot. And other people, it's like, well, it's not a lot. But the last thing you want to do is do that over and over and over and keep finding out, well, shoot, I keep getting these home inspections and the deals don't work because I have too much rehab. And now you're out 400 and 400 and 400 and 400. Like, it adds up. So you want to get the contractors out there. There's no cost to that because they're bidding the job, to first find out, what are the renovation costs going to be? And next, you're going to verify rents, and you're going to make sure that financially the property works. If the property works financially, you've done that free due diligence, you're going to have an OSHI certified home inspector who's going to come out. Now, some people say, well, I already had my contractors come out. So, do I really need a home inspection? Let me tell you something. Jennifer and I have had, some serious painful lessons about always get a home inspection. I never want any of you to experience and learn something that you could have avoided based on our experience. Okay. You're never going to skip the home inspection. Here's why. Your contractor might go in the property and they're looking at it from a rehab standpoint. They're not looking behind the walls at the wiring. They're not getting in the attic to see if there's old knob and tube wiring. They're not testing the roof to see if there's soft spots. They're not testing every outlet. They're not turning on every water faucet. They're generally walking around and looking at the cosmetics, or if there's major mechanicals that are obviously wrong, that's what they're looking at. Your home inspector's job is to go through and just absolutely pick the house apart. Now, it's sometimes like sad. You're like, oh my God, so many things are wrong. Well, that's their job to tell you everything wrong. Everything that's wrong doesn't always need to be fixed, but you have someone going in and spending usually 2 to 3 hours and literally looking at every single piece. So let me ask you something. If you're there at the market, does that matter? Are you going to go do your home inspection? I certainly hope not, because unless you're a licensed home inspector and you have a lot of experience, you're going to miss so many things, right? So we're going to leverage someone who's got lots of experience and the certification to go in and tell us this is everything that's wrong, right? So that's your home inspection. Next, you're going to get your funding lined up. All right, and like we talked about already, if it's a performing property, get conventional financing. If it's a fixer, you can go the route of hard money or use cash and then refinance it. But basically, after you get the home inspection, if you know, okay, it looks good, deal's good, we're moving forward, you want to immediately go start working on getting the funding, because that is the piece that tends to take the most amount of time. And especially when you're new and you don't exactly know what you're doing, and the lender gives you a list of things and you're like stumbling through and sending them things and that's not the right thing. It's so painful in the beginning because you literally don't know what you're doing. You're sending the wrong documents, but it's every investor, that's just part of the journey. Every investor goes through it. But once you've done it once, you know how to do it. So anyway, the funding does tend to take a little bit longer. So you want to jump on that as soon as you know the home inspection's good. Now with funding, back when we were talking about building your team, you want to pre-interview lenders so that when you get to this point, you're not now just interviewing lenders. You're calling the lender that you were choosing to present the deal to them. That's the idea with this one. All right. Next step is closing remotely. All right. So what on earth does that mean? If you've ever bought a house as a homeowner, then you're probably visualizing like, okay, how on earth am I going to close without going there? All right. When you're buying a house, it's really normal to go drive to the title company, sit down with the title officer, give them your license, they're the notary, and you sit there and you sign 5 billion documents, right? That's what a closing looks like. So oftentimes it's a hang up for people. Like, I can't picture how it could happen any other way just because you don't know another way exists. Let me tell you what it looks like when Jen and I close properties. Our favorite notary, his name is Perry Savage. He is sent the file from the title company, which has all the title company documents and the lender documents. Perry drives on over to our house. We set an appointment. He sits down with us. We, shoot the breeze for a little while. We catch up because he is our favorite notary. We sign documents. We review them. We always get them a couple days ahead of time. So we always review them ahead of time, make sure that the closing statement is right. It's always wrong. So I always have to go back and have it changed a couple times, but that's fine. We sit down, we sign all the documents, and he takes the package and he gives us a full copy, like a big old giant pack of paper to stick in our file. And then he leaves and he overnights that package to the title company. And then it's usually the next day or the day after where it closes. So what happens at a closing, and why you don't have to physically be there, is the title company needs all those documents and they need to have them signed, and certain documents have to be notarized. Well, if they had a mobile notary do that, that part has been handled. Well, what are the other things that need to be done at a closing? There needs to be money. So most of the money is coming from the lender. So there's usually a wire transfer going from the lender to the title company. And you, of course, earlier on would have introduced them so they have all each other's contact information. So the lender sends in their money, and then you send in your whatever amount you have to bring to the table as far as your closing funds. So you're wiring money to the title company, lender's wiring money to the title company then has all the documents, they fund it, they pay off the realtors who got their commissions, they pay off any like old property taxes or any liens or anything like that. And then the rest goes to the seller. And then you own the property. Now your realtor, who's physically there in the market, will go and pick up the key from the title company or from the seller's realtor. So there's no reason that you need to go and be there because it's just being handled by your team. You're just coordinating them. All right, so once you've closed remotely, now we're going to be managing the rehab and doing project oversight. Now, this is an area that I got into a lot of detail in the BRRRR class, so I'm not going to spend the time here. You can totally check out the BRRRR Masterclass if you haven't already, but the very gist of it is, you're leading your team using technology. So when I'm managing a rehab or managing 12 rehabs, I have multiple different contractors. We have a scope of work. We have a contract. I'm in communication with them every week. They're telling me what's done. I'm having it verified. That's project oversight. I'm having it verified by my home inspector to make sure, one, it's actually done, because half the time it's not completely done, and two, that it's done correctly. And see, these are the keys. What would happen if you were there in the market? You would want to go see it yourself. Well, what are you looking at? I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's not like I have no clue, but I'm not going to know if they didn't do something technically correct. I'm not a home inspector or a contractor. I am a highly paid project manager, and I'm a highly paid problem solver. And that's what you are. That's what you're becoming if you want to be successful in this business. So we're managing the rehab. We're doing project oversight. We're putting our pieces in place, and we're basically managing the process. So now once the rehab is done, if it was a rehab, then we're going to get the property rented. So obviously some of these steps are not going to apply if it's a performing property. So obviously, just apply some logic to where you're not going to have to do and what parts you would skip and go to the ones that make sense. But now let's say we have a newly renovated property, it's vacant, we're going to get the property rented. Well, do you need to go there for that? Absolutely not. You're going to use an experienced professional property manager. Here's all the things they're going to do for you. They're going to go, they're going to walk through the property. First of all, they're going to let you know if there's anything that the contractor didn't finish, like the little things, like they didn't screw in the plates, or, they missed some paint. Like they'll go I think they call it blue tape it. They'll go blue tape it, make sure that it's ready to show, because they want to make sure that they're not dealing with it once they have a tenant. So they're going to go to the property. Then they're going to advertise the property for rent. They're going to be the ones to take the phone calls from the prospective tenants. They're going to be the ones to tell the tenants about the properties. They're going to be the ones to pre-screen the tenants. If the tenant is qualified and interested, they'll schedule a showing. They'll meet the tenant at the property. They'll show them. They'll give them an application. They'll screen the tenant. And if the tenant qualifies and everything looks good, they'll prepare the lease. And then they will help the tenant move in. Now, I don't mean like pick up boxes, but they'll meet them at the property. All the paperwork is signed and exchanged. They give them the keys. They collect the money on your behalf, and the tenant moves in. You could be in Italy for a year. It doesn't matter where you are, because your team member is a professional who does this every day for many, many years, is handling it the same way they handle it for lots of other landlords. I hope this is starting to kind of just give you an idea, like everybody handles their part so that you don't have to. All right, and then the final step, is ongoing review and oversight. So what we're talking about here is, we're talking about passive cash flow. And I know when I was new, one of the things that drove me crazy is that, people always talk about, like, you get your property, then you go lay on the beach. And we're technically, that is true. It doesn't mean don't pay attention. It doesn't mean that. And I always felt like the words passive cash flow are thrown around in a way that makes it seem like you have to do nothing. That's not true. You need to pay attention. So the nice thing is it doesn't take very much time, but you do need to know that nobody cares about your assets more than you do. Nobody's paying as close attention as you should be, because this is your future. It provides cash flow for you today. You're also gaining equity, and it's providing for your retirement and your future and your legacy, your family, or whatever you're planning on doing at the property. So once a month, you're going to be reviewing the reports from your property manager. And there's not really usually much to report. It's usually just a simple financial statement. But in the financial statement, it will have expenses in there. And so when you see, okay, maintenance repair, plumbing, maintenance repair, I don't know, broken window, that gives you an idea of what's going on with the property. You have to review your reports every month. I always suggest for the first 4 to 6 months that you call the property manager every single month, unless there's literally nothing on there, which is rare. You call the property manager every month and say, well, tell me what happened with this? Why do you have a repair? And it's not that they're not legit, but what you're doing is you're establishing that you're paying attention. Because guess what? A lot of people don't. And it's very easy for the property manager to, they don't care. You have clog. instead of telling the tenant, go pour some Roto-Rooter down, not Roto-Rooter, a liquid plumber down there to see if you can move the clog along, they'll go send out a plumber, and it can be expensive. So when you are contacting the property manager every month and saying, go through these expenses with me and help me understand blah, 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 what they realize is that you're not going to be the landlord that's okay with them spending your money frivolously. So that's just something we always do. For the first several months, we're calling and we review, even beyond the first 6 months, we always review the reports every single month so that we know what's going on. And if there's something that like, it just doesn't look right, we're going to ask. Now, if there's ever anything big, the property manager will call you, because in your property management contract, there will be a clause that states that they have permission to do repairs without calling you up to whatever dollar amount you've agreed to with them. All right. So if it's something bigger than that, let's say it's a water heater, they'll contact you because they have to get your permission. And also they're going to need you to pay for it. Right. So that's what ongoing review and oversight is. I hope that was helpful to you. I know when I was new, one of the things that was just my mind, I was so confused because I take all these boot camps, and I know like our first investment in real estate was in our education, and we spent $40,000. And I'll tell you what, it was complete crap. It was crap. It was so many different random boot camps. The company just got all these different teachers that all taught different methods, not consistent. And I was just lost. I was so confused. And for a long time, I didn't exactly understand the A, B, C, D, E, F, G of just the whole process. So I want to share that with you so that you kind of wrap your mind around what this whole thing looks like. So as you start learning the in-between pieces, you know where they fit and you know the context. So I want to show you just for a moment, like, what does momentum look like? So Kahisha, these are all people that are in our mastermind. So Kahisha says, being a part of the program has helped me move out of my comfort zone. Jen and Stacy hold me accountable, which I've needed for years, and we do. Marlene says, I like the weekly calls that we have together as a group, and we work together as a team to analyze situations, and I recommend anyone to join this program. Brad, he says, the best part about this group is just the camaraderie and the support from multiple coaches and my peer investors. My possibilities are endless now. Kara, thanks to Jen, Stacy, and their team, I closed on my first fourplex in less than a week and already have another I'm analyzing for a potential offer. And Bobby acquired 6 duplexes in his first 4 months. So that means he went from 0, like he never owned an investment property ever before, to having 12 units in just 4 months. Battelle, she acquired her first out-of-state single-family home. And Battelle is closing on this in, let's see, what's today, the 9th? She closes on this tomorrow in Florida. She's acquiring her first multifamily 9-unit building in Florida. It's like we're so excited, and everything is remote. Right? Natasha, she did her first 6 duplexes within 90 days, and she's presently working on a 6-unit condo conversion. And Steve acquired a duplex and a single family home within his first 30 days in the mastermind. And then he just went crazy. He went from 0 to 21 units in just over 90 days. And now he's moved on into our apartment mastermind, because now he's going to start leveraging more and getting into apartments. So like these are the things that happen when people are part of our mastermind. So, you have a choice to make. Obviously, you could go try to figure this out all on your own. Like, absolutely. It's not fun if you can figure it out on your own, right? Or you can learn a proven and tested process from someone who's actually mastered remote real estate investing, and that is Jen and I. So the winner's path, right? This is our mastermind. This is not even everybody, but this is our mastermind. So the winner's path is joining the mastermind and getting started building your portfolio with us, holding your hand at every step along the way. So I wanted to just let you guys know, like, over the next few days, we've set aside some time to talk with you and just see if we can help, see if there's something we can help you with. We'll chat for, let's say 45 minutes or so. We'll map out an exact action plan for you to follow so that you can get started building your portfolio remotely and get going. So if that's something you'd like to do, if you want to have a strategy call with us and stop wondering, like, what am I supposed to do next? And I'm ready to go. Like, let's invest. You're going to text the word freedom to, this is our business cell phone. It's 373 8461. So text the word freedom to that number. And what we'll do is it will automatically send you back a link to a questionnaire, which is our application for the mastermind. And it just gives us an idea of where are you coming in? What is your motivation? Are you actually ready to take action? Because we don't allow everybody into our mastermind. Like, you have to be ready to, like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm ready to be coached. I'm ready for someone to hold my hand and actually get me going. We do not do education for the sake of education. That is not what we're about. Never has been, never will be. We are about helping investors take action, build their portfolios so they can create the freedom we've created for ourselves. We have to educate them in order to do that. I have to educate you in order to help you reach your goals. But the whole point of the mastermind is the action it takes to build the portfolio. The education is obviously the foundation so that I can coach you through getting into your deals. All right, so text the number to apply for the mastermind. You'll get the questionnaire. Together, we're going to dive into your goals. All right, we're going to look at what are your current resources, what are the actions that you need to take in order to get your remote portfolio going here in the next 90 days. And people ask us, like, well, why are you doing this? Look, if you want us to personally work with you to launch your real estate portfolio, and if we think it's a good fit, we might invite you to become one of our new students, okay? So if that's the case, then we'll walk you through what is it gonna look like, and we'll take you through an overview of our program that's designed to get you into your first remote property in as little as 90 days. So you're gonna book your strategy call by texting FREEDOM to 619-373-8461. All right, so now it is time for Q&A. If you have questions on anything related to this topic, actually can be related to any topic in real estate, but if you have questions, you're gonna go ahead and type them in the chat or wherever the Q&A is, and I will read your question. I will read it for the group, and then I will answer it. So if you have questions, type it in the chat. Let me open up the chat. Here we go. Vandy, do you need to have your LLC going first? Vandy, that's a great question. A lot of people ask that question, and I know when I was new, I was baffled because I was like, well, I mean, don't I need to have my asset protection set? Here's the deal. When you're learning to invest remotely, you're frequently going to pick a handful of different markets and be doing lead generation in multiple markets. When you don't exactly know where you're going to be investing yet, because you might choose St. Louis, Missouri as your main market. You're like, yeah, I want that one. And then for whatever reason, you just cannot seem to get any traction. Like, you can't get realtors to call you back and you don't know what's going on. But for whatever reason in Kansas City, like, people are calling you back and it's happening. So you don't really know when you're new where you're going to end up doing a deal. And I know this sounds a little woo-woo and crazy, but my experience is that the market chooses the person sometimes, or that's how it seems at least. So I wouldn't set up your LLC yet. First of all, it's very fast to set up an LLC. If you're doing it yourself, you can go online and do it. If you're having it done through a professional organization, which I always recommend, and we can refer you to ours, they're amazing. They can do it like so fast. So it's really not something you need to do. And in fact, I wouldn't even set up your LLC if you get a property under contract. I would not set up my LLC until I'm done with my due diligence and I know I'm moving forward. That's the time I'd set it up, because it only takes a day or two to get it set up anyway, which is plenty of time for closing. And then your lender and the title company are going to be the ones who are going to ask for your organizational documents, which is the LLC organization, and also your operating agreement that states what the business is about, what are you allowed to do, who's allowed to sign, etc. So great question. All right, Rose. How do you know when you have a good contractor? Well, you don't really know, Rose, until you're actually in the deal. But there's a lot of different things that we do to mitigate the risk of getting a bad contractor. So I'll share some of those with you and I'll give you an idea. Well, for one, they have to be licensed and they have to be experienced. All right, I am looking at their license. It has to be in the city where we are, if the city has licenses. It needs to be current. I'm also checking their driver's license to make sure everything matches. I ask them for references and I call all those references. to gut check it. I also, I mean, for me, I used to be a former auditor, so I can't help myself anyway. I will also go and I will Google and I will look to see what can I find on this person, and hopefully it's nothing, or if there's anything, hopefully it's good. Another thing you could do is you can actually do a full background check on them. So there's a lot of things that you can do to weed out ones that are problematic. And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you ever get the sense like something's not right, and I say your spidey senses are tingling, you got to trust that, because it probably means something's not right. All right. So, but you don't have to rely on that. You rely on all the things that you can do to verify. But I'm just saying, even if everything is checking out and verifying, if you're just having like you can feel it in your back, something's not right, then trust that, even if all the evidence points otherwise, because it's usually your subconscious mind is picking up on something. But those are all the things that we do to help lessen the risk we have a bad contractor. Now, during the project, the things that we do to protect ourselves is first of all, we do not send money to the contractor before the project begins. The only time we'll make an exception is if they need money, like to get permits or dumpster or anything like that. They need a little bit of money that they're going to have to be out of pocket. Fine, I'll send you $1,000 or whatever you need, whatever small amount. But when a contractor says, oh, I need a third up front, I need 50% up front, absolutely not. I might as well light my money on fire and go have a nice day with it, because it's as good as gone if the contractor is unscrupulous. And sometimes you don't know, right? So the things that we do to protect ourselves from a contractor screwing us for money is, first of all, we tell them right up front, we pay for work that's completed. So when XYZ work is complete, let us know. We'll have our home inspector come in, verify the work is done and done correctly, and then we'll wire the funds to you. And that's sometimes a hard conversation to have, but I'm telling you what, it's the thing that's going to protect you the best. Because if your contractor says, oh, I'm ready for a $10,000 draw, and your home inspector goes out there and he's like, I mean, this is only 40% done, this is only 75% done, why are you going to go send $10,000 when they've only done $5,500 worth of work? Does that make sense? So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on contractor. All right. Etika and Danny, has anyone used their own business credit to fund deals? Absolutely. Etika, one thing that, well, actually, I don't know if this is Etika or Danny, but you guys, one of the things that I'm a firm believer in and that we teach is that there's a lot of different resources, and sometimes you'll piece them together. If you're like, we have a real estate business, we have a consulting, we have a couple different businesses, right? If I have a credit line with, let's say, our business consulting line, and I'm not using it for our business consulting practice, what I can do is I can access the funds from that line, and I can make that business give a loan to, let's say, my real estate business. All right, and I do a promissory note just like I would with an individual, but that would be a way to leverage the funds from business credit to use in your other business. And if it's a business credit card, then in that case, you might just have to like pay for things with the card, but then you basically write up, you do the documentation kind of after the fact. You write up a document that says, this company effectively made a loan to this company and, paid the supplier directly or something like that. But that's absolutely something that you can do, and that I encourage you to do if it will help you to pull a deal together. All right. Kindy, do you work with those who want to do wholesale? Yeah, we do. We actually have a course called Remote Wholesaling, and we launched it in, what was it, April? We launched it in April, and it's an entire A to Z course on how to do wholesaling, but do it remotely. Because everything that Jen and I do, like, we do things differently. We're not teaching the same thing all the other gurus are just, regurgitating. Oh, go drive around looking for fixtures, go put bandit signs, like go send out, go do skip tracing, send out letters. Oh my God, everybody says the same thing and makes your competition ridiculous. So we created a course that specifically teaches how to do wholesaling, but do it remotely. So we absolutely do that. We actually have several people in our mastermind who, everybody's end goal is to own property and build wealth, but we have several people who have made the decision that on their journey, they're going to do a few wholesale deals first so that they can get going, get some capital and move into the next thing. And sometimes it's just a comfort level. Like, I just get to know it a little bit before I fully commit to the buy and hold. So we absolutely do that. All right. And Kindy, do you need an LLC for each state you want to operate in outside your own state? Okay. The answer is no, but let me give you some explanation on that. So let's say, for example, so I'll give you an actual real example. So Jen and I had a Kansas LLC. And I think it was like in 2016, we got into a flip in the state of Kansas. And so we were using that LLC for a flip. And then we ended up getting a property in, one was in Kansas City, Kansas, and one was in Kansas City, Missouri. They're both in suburbs of that. So now I have a property, same contractor, like same contacts, but it's on over state line. So now I have a Kansas LLC, but I have a Missouri property. What do I do? Do I have to get a new LLC? No, I don't have to get a new LLC. If I want to get one LLC per property, you can do that. I've just found that operationally and logistically, it's a nightmare because you have so much to keep track of. So let's just say I'm going to use that one LLC for both properties. What I have to do is I have to go to the state of Missouri. And when I say go, I don't mean physically go on their website. And I have to register my Kansas LLC as a foreign entity. And it's usually, $75 to $100 to register it there. And you have to get, what is it called? A registered agent, which is a company or a person who has a physical location in that state where they can receive mail or service if there was ever a lawsuit. So that's all you have to do. So no big deal. We finished up those. We still had the LLC, didn't have anything in it. We ended up going into Washington State and doing a flip. And then later we were in Indiana and we did a bunch of properties there. So I didn't start a new LLC everywhere I went. I did when I was new because the attorneys freaked me out so bad about asset protection that I was like, I got to do it. Well, at one point I had 8 LLCs and I had several properties in each of them, but it was a logistical nightmare to manage that many entities because everyone needs a tax return. It needs a bank account. I guess it doesn't need a bank account, but I didn't know that at the time. So I had a checking account, a savings account, a credit card for each one. And each LLC has an annual report you have to file with the state and a fee that goes along with it. So I hope you kind of get the idea. Like, it's a lot to have an LLC. You obviously need to have one in your business. But if you're going to do multiple ones, my suggestion is that you meet with an attorney to figure out what's the best way to manage that process because it can get a little bit bulky. So you don't need an LLC in each state. If you choose to, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to be prepared for, some extra work that goes along with it. All right. You guys have an amazing evening. Thank you for spending your time with us today. You guys are awesome. I love all of you. Have an amazing evening, and I will talk to you soon.